Chapter 1, ADX Florence, 5 Years in Solitude. You don't wake up from a sound. There are no sounds in this cell, only walls that have never replied. You slept again with your eyes closed, but you didn't fall asleep. ADX Florence is not a place for dreams. Even ghosts are too afraid to show up here. Hell is when it burns, but here, nothing burns. Here, everything is extinguished. If you're still reading, stay a while. Not everyone makes it this far into silence. Subscribe if you want to know what comes after the quiet. Your cell, 2 by 3 meters, concrete, cold, deaf. The ventilation hums like a distant ocean, but you know it's not the wind. It's just an air system killing you slower than the court did. You're 31, but you don't remember being 26. Somewhere between the second and third year in isolation, time stopped being something real. While you're here, drop a comment. What time is it where you are? Because here, time is just a memory game. But where you are, maybe it still means something. 1 hour a day, outside. Although outside is just a concrete cage with a mesh ceiling. The air feels fresh only because it smells less like urine than the cell does. Still, you go out. Because for 1 hour, you can look at the sky and wonder, is this still the same America or a different one? Or maybe, are you even still here? You used to have a name. It was written on police reports, in the news, on fences. Now you have only a number. ADX doesn't give you death. It gives you silence that slowly erases you from the inside out. If this story made you pause, even just for a moment, leave a like. It's not just a button, it's a sign someone is still listening. You've memorized every crack in the concrete. One looks like your mother's profile. Another, like a map of El Salvador, where your parents fled from to give you a better life. Spoiler, it didn't work out. Food? It comes in a plastic tray, tossed through a slit in the door. Today, something that might be mashed potatoes. Tastes like cardboard that once considered soy sauce and then changed its mind. But you eat, because eating is the last thing that still feels human. Isolation is when even your thoughts start arguing with each other. You gave your voices names. Oscar, your anger. Tata, your conscience. Sueño, a memory from childhood when you still dreamed of becoming a soccer player. La sombra, the shadow that whispers of pistols, machetes, and blood on the sidewalk. You talk to them, because it's better to hear a voice than only silence. Comment below, what story should come next? Another prison? Another soul? Another country? I'm listening, even if the people in these stories no longer are. What's scarier, MS-13 or this cell? In the gang, you knew who your enemy was. In ADX, your enemy is memory. And it doesn't shoot, it whispers. The guard didn't greet you today. Good. When they're friendly, something's about to happen. A check, a riot, a psychologist. And here, a psychologist is someone who asks, "How are you feeling?" and doesn't listen to the answer. Sometimes at night you imagine the cell vanishing. The walls, not concrete, but skin. That this is the stomach of a mad god who swallowed you, and you, just an undigested remnant. Your body is thin, ribs easier to count than years. Your eyes lost their focus. Sight isn't what you lost. You lost the feeling that this body was ever really yours. But the worst part, your name has faded. No one calls it. No one remembers it. You're not a person. You're the one in cell 416. And yet, deep down, when you touch your forehead, you still feel the old tattoo, MS-13. letters that promised immortality and gave you concrete eternity instead. Subscribe if you want to hear how silence sounds in other places, in other lives. Let me know where you're listening from and what you'd want the next story to be about. The next chapter begins where your words end. Chapter 2. Back to childhood. Your first arrest. You're 11 and you've just been arrested. Relax, not for murder, for stealing a toy gun. Yeah, irony tastes bitter with a side of stale breath. You're standing in a sweaty precinct on 108th Street, wearing a torn Sonic the Hedgehog t-shirt that looks more like Sad the Hedgehog. Next to you is a Mexican boy, a year older, who stole a box of chips. You nod at each other, silent understanding. You're not kids anymore. You're statistics. Your mom hasn't arrived yet. She'll run in about an hour later, still wearing her apron from the laundry shift. She'll cry, tell you to your face you've broken her heart. Then she'll turn to the cops and say in broken English, "Please no record, por favor, he's just niño." But in America, even a just niño goes into the system forever. That was the first time you heard the phrase minor offense. You thought offense was something cool, like basketball. Spoiler, it's not. Rewind a bit. You're 11. You live in a 2-bedroom apartment with your mom, 2 brothers, a grandfather who doesn't recognize anyone, and cockroaches who recognize everyone. The walls are rice paper thin. You can hear the upstairs neighbor laugh watching Sábado Gigante, and the downstairs neighbor beat his wife because the fridge hums too loud. Your dad? Yeah, no. He's somewhere in Houston, your mom says, working, for 5 years now. But you suspect working is Spanish for ditched and dipped. And honestly, who cares? Because you've got your older brother, Mario. Mario is like Google in the barrio. He knows everything. Most importantly, he knows how to survive. Mario was the one who taught you how to talk to cops. Don't lie, but don't tell the truth. And never cry. Crying is fatal. And everything would have been fine if you didn't want that damn gun. Not a real one, obviously. A shiny one, plastic, bright red tip, batteries that make a pew-pew sound. It costs $9.99. You had $1.87 and a dream, to feel powerful. When the security guy caught you, you didn't run. You stood still, silent. But inside, something cracked. Why don't I have anything? Why do those white kids laugh in clean sneakers and buy 3 toy guns like it's nothing, while you steal 1 just to pretend you're someone? At the precinct, a cop brought you a Gatorade. You didn't drink it, thought it was a test. If you drink it, you're guilty. It wasn't. He just felt bad for you. But you didn't care, because something inside you was already burning. That was the first time you realized pity stings worse than fear. When your mom took you home, she gripped your wrist so tight it hurt, like she was afraid you'd crumble into dust. And you just walked, silent, thinking, this isn't the end, this is the start. That night, you lay on a springless mattress. You imagined. You're an agent. Your gun is real. Everyone who laughed is on the floor. You're walking over them, slow, like in the movies. And somewhere in that silence, something twisted. Not your body, something deeper, like a door creaking open. And you whisper to yourself, I don't want to be good anymore. At school the next day, everyone laughed. Yo, Rico's a gangster now. Next stop, Rikers. Ice gonna get your mom, bro. But the ones who laughed, they were scared. Because you weren't the same. You didn't flinch. You didn't blink. You just stared. Long, hard, dead-eyed. And your eyes said, they already broke me. You're late. That same week, you carved a 13 into your school desk, just to see what it felt like. You didn't even know what it meant. But the air already buzzed with a name. Mara Salvatrucha. It hadn't reached your lips yet, but it was there. And you know what the worst part was? Not the stealing, not getting caught, not even the cop's lecture or the cold Gatorade. No, the worst part was that no one was surprised. That night, you had a dream. You're standing in court, still a child, toy gun in your hand. The judge points silently to a door labeled ADX Florence. You don't know what it means, but the door opens and you walk through. Chapter 3. Your neighborhood smells like shit and gasoline. Street baptism. You don't really know when your neighborhood started to stink. Maybe it was always like that. Maybe you just stopped pretending it was normal. Every street smells like fried grease, sewer breath, and the sour sweat of too many lives crammed into not enough space. And then, gasoline. That sharp, metallic tang that lingers in the air after some fool torched a car 2 blocks down. They do that on Saturdays sometimes, for fun, for warning, for no reason. You're 13 now. 2 years since the toy gun incident. No one calls you Rico anymore. Now it's Little Ghost, because you move quiet and don't smile. Your brother Mario is gone. Not dead, just vanished. Rumor says he got pulled into some bigger shit in Texas, but you don't ask. In your world, questions are dangerous. The answers even more. Your mom, still working 3 jobs. She stopped crying. Now she looks through you, like a fogged mirror. You come home with bruised knuckles and that look in your eyes, and she just hands you tortillas and walks back into the kitchen. The streets start whispering. You don't notice it at first. Just older boys watching you, asking questions without asking. You still run fast, Ghost? You still got that thing on you? You down to ride tonight? You don't know what ride means, but you say yeah anyway. Because in this place, if you say no, you disappear. You meet them behind the auto shop. 4 of them, real ones. Tattoos on their necks, eyes dead like roadkill. One has a machete tucked in his belt. Another, brass knuckles and a busted lip. No one smiles. One of them, the tallest, nods at you and says, "You want to be one of us, Chico?" You nod, once. Your stomach is a ball of cold steel. Your mouth is dry, but your feet don't move. He pulls out a rag and tosses it to you. A blue bandana. "This means something," he says. "You wear this, you ride with us. But first," he turns to the others. "Jump him." They beat you, hard. No questions, no warnings, just fists, boots, elbows. Your ribs scream, your nose breaks, you taste pennies. 3 minutes, maybe 5, felt like 20 lifetimes. And then, just as suddenly, they stop, pull you up. Your shirt soaked in blood and sweat. You can't feel your left eye. The tall one grins for the first time. Welcome to the family. Later that night, you lay on a mattress that smells like mildew and cheap regrets. You can't breathe without pain, but your heart, it's pounding with something hot, something heavy. Not pride, not fear. Belonging. The next day, you walk down the street. Same block, same smell. But everything's different. People move out of your way. Even the older kids. No one calls you names. No one laughs. You're not Little Ghost anymore. You're MS. That week, they give you a job. Real simple. Watch the corner. Look for cops. If you see one, whistle. You sit on a crate with a bag of sunflower seeds and a piece of pipe in your lap. 2 guys sell behind you. Pills, weed, something harder. A woman walks by with a stroller. She looks at you, hard. Not fear, not hate. Something worse, disappointment. And still, you sit. Then, one night, they give you your first real job. They hand you a burner phone and say, "Call this number, say the phrase, then walk away." You don't ask what the phrase means or who will answer. You call, you say the line, "The flowers bloom at midnight." You hang up. 5 hours later, there's a shooting 4 blocks away. 2 dead. One of them a cousin of your friend Tito. You don't sleep that night. Not because you're scared, because you're not. Next week, they take you out to the tracks, give you a knife. There's a guy tied up, face busted, eyes swollen shut. They say he stole from the wrong people. The tall one hands you the blade and says, "Do it." You hesitate for 2 seconds. Then you close your eyes. The sound a blade makes when it slides into a body. It's not like the movies. It's quiet, wet, like stepping into mud. You vomit after. They laugh, pat your back, call you soldado. You don't tell them the truth, that you didn't throw up because of the blood. You threw up because you liked the silence that followed. From that day on, you're in. No more tests, no more games. They teach you how to wrap your hands before a fight, how to fold money so it looks smaller, how to hide a blade in your sock. You learn new words: hit, ride, watcher, cleaner, mouse, mule. You learn that family doesn't mean blood. It means who buries the body with you at 2 a.m. You learn that fear is a tool, that silence is a weapon, and that in your world, death is not an end, it's a promotion. One night, you stare in the cracked mirror. Your face is swollen, your lip is split, but your eyes, they're cold now. You whisper to yourself, "You're not a ghost anymore." And in your mind, you hear the sound of that knife sliding into flesh again and again and again. And you fall asleep, smiling. Chapter 4. MS-13. Blood for your brother, fear for yourself. You thought joining MS-13 would make you safe. It didn't. It made you useful. And in this life, being useful is more dangerous than being weak. You're 14 now. 14 with scars under your shirt and a blade under your pillow. You wake up in a room where the walls smell like mold and the ceiling leaks when it rains. Your phone buzzes at 3:13 a.m. You already know what that means. 313 is the call time. It's never good news. You grab your jacket, your knife, and that one sock with the grip tape inside for hiding something sharp. You meet the crew by the alley behind the church. 5 of them, no smiles. The one in charge tonight is Loco Jesse, who once cut a guy's tongue out for talking slick. Jesse nods at you, doesn't say a word, just hands you a bag. Inside, gloves, bleach wipes, duct tape, a burner phone, and a photo. You stare at the photo. A man in his 30s, goatee, white tank top, cold eyes. You don't ask questions. Questions are for cops. You're the lookout again. Your job is simple. If something goes wrong, call the number. You stand near a busted payphone, listening to the city hum like it's holding its breath. Somewhere behind you, a door opens, then closes, then a muffled scream, then silence. You don't turn around. You never turn around. They come back 10 minutes later. Jesse's hands are red, so is his shirt. They dump their gloves in a gas can, light a match, and let it all burn. The smell of burning rubber and bleach is awful. But the worst part? You don't flinch. Next day, you sit in the back of history class, still smelling the smoke in your hair. Your teacher talks about the founding fathers. You doodle bullets in the margin of your notebook. Someone calls your name. You look up. It's your cousin, Manny. He sits 2 rows ahead. He winks. He knows. You don't know how, but he knows. You don't say anything, just nod. That afternoon, you get a call. Blocked number. Voice on the other end. Ghost. Meet at the tire yard now. You know that voice. It's Vieto Miguel, one of the old heads. If Miguel calls, you don't say no. At the yard, he sits on a crate, smoking a cigarette like it's his last joy on earth. His tattoos are faded, but his eyes, sharp. He points to a toolbox and says, "Someone's been talking, snitching. We think it's one of ours." You freeze. He opens the lid. Inside, a gun. Rusty, heavy. You said you were down for this. Prove it. You ask, who? Miguel throws a folded piece of paper at your chest. You open it. It's Manny, your cousin, your blood, your first friend. You laugh, dry, hollow. You serious? Miguel stares through you. We're always serious. That night, you don't sleep. You lie in bed holding that paper like it's burning. You think of Manny giving you his last sandwich in second grade, of sneaking out to watch fireworks on the roof, of him covering for you when you skipped church. You think of that wink in class. Maybe he knew this was coming. You skip the meetup. Tell him you're sick, that your mom's in the hospital, that your phone was dead. They don't question it, not yet. But you know, you've already crossed a line. You didn't follow an order. And in MS-13, mercy is weakness. Weakness is death. The next week is a blur. You avoid everyone. You don't answer calls. You walk with your head down. At night, you hear footsteps outside your window. You start sleeping with your blade in your hand. Then one morning, you wake up to screaming. Down the block, police lights, yellow tape. You run barefoot, heart pounding. It's Manny, dead, shot in the face, twice. No witnesses, no camera footage, no justice. At the funeral, you sit in the back, hood up, eyes down. You want to cry, you really do, but you can't. Because next to the casket sits Loco Jesse, smiling. Afterwards, you walk home alone, not because you want to, because no one walks with you anymore. You're not ghost to them. You're maybe snitch, maybe soft, maybe next. You stare at yourself in the mirror that night. Your eyes are swollen. You whisper, "This isn't about fear. It's about how much fear you can carry and still pretend you're a man." The phone buzzes again, 313. You stare at the screen, and, for the first time in months, you don't pick up. Chapter 5. You lose your name before you lose your freedom. You thought your name was Rico. That was before the streets renamed you, before the crew cut it down to Ghost, before the files called you Latino male, suspect number 11. Now your name is just the sound of silence when someone asks, "Where's that kid?" and nobody answers. You're 15, no job, no school, just drifting like trash in the wind. You sleep on different couches, sometimes on rooftops, sometimes under a bridge that smells like piss and forgotten dreams. No one looks for you, not the church, not the school, not even your mother. She still loves you, but even love has a survival limit. You start forgetting your birthday. You stop remembering what day it is. Every phone call is from an unknown number. Every knock on a door makes you reach for your blade. You eat when there's food, sleep when your eyes burn too much. Your body survives, but your name? That died months ago. One night you wake up under the freeway, rain dripping through cracks above. You're cold, hungry, your stomach groans like a dying animal. And suddenly you realize you don't remember what your voice sounds like. You haven't spoken out loud in 3 days, not even to yourself. You used to sing in the shower. Used to say your name in the mirror. Used to rap badly with Manny and laugh till your ribs hurt. Now you mouth your name. Rico. Nothing. No reaction. Like it belongs to someone else. The streets know when you're soft. They smell it. That week, 3 kids younger than you rob you with sticks. Not even real weapons. They hit you in the leg and take your shoes. You don't fight back. You just lie there, face in the dirt, thinking, maybe I deserve this. Later that night, you see your reflection in a storefront window. You don't recognize it. Eyes hollow, cheeks sunken, mouth cracked. You press your hand to the glass and whisper, I'm still here. But the reflection doesn't move. It's someone else. A week later, Jesse finds you. He's not smiling this time. He's pissed. You don't answer calls? You hide and ghost? You think this game got a pause button? You try to lie, say you lost your phone. He slaps you, hard. You don't flinch. You don't blink. You just whisper, I'm tired. Jesse leans close, smells like beer and old blood. Tired ain't an excuse. We all tired, but we bleed together or we bleed alone. He throws you a bag. One last job. You do this, you're good. You don't, you're gone. Inside the bag, a pistol, a hoodie, a photo. White boy, mid-20s, gang rival. Maybe, maybe not. You don't care anymore. You follow him for days. He eats at the same diner, walks the same street, smiles too much. You hold the gun in your hand on night 3, finger on the trigger. No gloves, no mask, but you can't do it. Not because you're afraid, not because you care, because you don't feel anything, and that terrifies you more than the gun. You toss the pistol in the sewer. It sinks like your last chance. 2 days later, the cops find you. Not because of the gun, because of a tip. Someone saw you somewhere you shouldn't have been. Maybe, maybe not. Doesn't matter. They cuff you without a fight. You don't ask why. You don't cry. You don't even blink. You just say, took you long enough. At the station, they ask your name. You pause. Then you say, Ghost. They write it down. Not even a smile. Your mugshot flashes. A dead-eyed boy. Cracked lips. Shoulders slumped like broken wings. You think, this picture will outlive me. Your fingerprints go into the system. Your file gets assigned. Your name becomes a number. And as they walk you down that hallway, concrete walls, buzzing lights, officers with plastic smiles, you realize you didn't lose your freedom today. You lost it a long time ago. Today, they just made it official. Chapter 6, Holding Cell Blues, where time has no mirrors. They throw you in a box. Not a metaphor, a literal, stinking concrete box. No window, one flickering light overhead like a dying fly. The floor is piss slick. The bench, cold metal. No pillow, no bed. Just the sound of a drunk yelling in Spanish 2 doors down. And your heartbeat. You don't know how long it's been. Could be an hour, could be 6. In holding, time doesn't pass, it rots. You sit with your back to the wall, arms around your knees, the way you did when you were 5 and hid from the thunder. Only this thunder comes from inside. Your stomach growls like an angry dog. Your teeth hurt. You haven't eaten since yesterday. Or was it the day before? You touch your face. It's swollen. Not from a fight, just from existing too long without rest. There's a camera in the top corner. Little black bubble, unblinking eye. You stare at it. Not to intimidate it, just to prove you're still real. You whisper, I know you're watching. No one replies. You laugh, or maybe cry, hard to tell. The guard comes once, slides you a dry sandwich and a bottle of water. The sandwich tastes like dust. You chew anyway. Because chewing gives your brain something to do besides remember. You dream while awake. Flashbacks hit like random stabs. Jesse's grin, Manny's casket, your mother's hand shaking over a stove, the burning gloves, the feel of the knife, the photo, the sewer. It loops again and again and again. You try to sleep, but every time your eyes close, the walls shift. They lean in, whisper things. You don't exist. Nobody's coming. This is forever. You open your eyes, still there. At some point, another body gets tossed in. A guy, black hoodie, bloody lip, no shoes. He doesn't speak, just curls up in the far corner and groans. You don't ask who he is. You don't care. He's not a threat, just another echo, another ghost. He pukes at one point. Guard doesn't come. The smell joins the orchestra. Piss, bleach, sweat, metal, regret. You breathe through your mouth and try not to feel. You notice something strange. There's no mirror, nowhere in the whole room. Not in the door, not in the toilet, not even a reflection in the water bottle. You haven't seen your face in 3 days, maybe more. And something inside you wonders, what if I'm already gone? What if I've disappeared and no one noticed? What if that was the plan all along? You think of your mom, not how she is now, how she used to be, laughing, singing along to old cumbias, holding your hand at the laundromat, kissing your forehead like you were made of light. That version of her died the day you bled on her doorstep and called it loyalty. You try to remember the last time someone hugged you. Not a handshake, not a nod, a real hug. You can't, and it hurts in places you forgot had feeling. The drunk in the next cell starts screaming again, something about his brother, how he never meant to shoot him. The guard bangs on his bars with a baton. Shut up before I make you. Silence follows. Then soft sobbing. You close your eyes. This isn't jail. This is pre-death. A waiting room for souls nobody wants. At some point you piss yourself. Not because you wanted to, because they wouldn't open the door. And you cry. Not loud, not messy, just 2 tears. And you whisper, this is what dying feels like when they make you stay awake for it. The boy in the corner finally speaks. One word, cold. That's it. You nod, he nod. 2 animals in the same slaughterhouse. The light flickers again. You look up and say, half laughing, is this God's idea of a joke? No answer, just the buzzing. Eventually, the door opens. A guard steps in, gloved up. Ghost? You stand. Your knees shake. You wipe your face. He cuffs you again, this time tighter. You ask, where we going? He shrugs. Holding's full. You're getting processed now. And that's the first time you hear it. Processed. Not helped, not rehabilitated, not even tried. Processed. Like meat, like waste. He leads you down a hallway that smells like pine sol and stale hope. You don't look back. You already know. You left yourself in that room. What's walking now? Just bones, wrapped in muscle, wearing the mask of a boy who once believed in toy guns. Chapter 7. Trial of the Silent. 43 years for a ghost. You don't remember what day it is. Only that you're in shackles, that your wrists ache, and the fluorescent lights above the courthouse blink like tired eyes. They walk you through the back hallways. No windows, no clocks. Just guards with guns and clipboards, and the sound of your chains scraping the floor like they're whispering, don't bother speaking. Your lawyer's name is Mr. Collins. He's 58, bald, wears the same gray tie every day. His breath smells like cheap coffee and stress. He doesn't look you in the eye. Doesn't ask about your childhood. Doesn't ask what you remember. Doesn't ask if you even did it. He just says, take the deal, or they'll bury you so deep you'll forget what daylight looks like. You blink. What deal? He hands you a form. 43 years. No parole, no negotiation. You think, that's more years than I've been alive. You were supposed to be dead before 25. That's what they say in your neighborhood. Now, you'll still be alive, just not living. The courtroom smells like old wood, dried sweat, and perfume too expensive for this part of town. There's a judge, white, wrinkled, wedding ring older than your mother. There's a prosecutor, young, smug, smiles like he knows how the story ends. There's a court reporter, typing every breath, every cough, every lie. And then there's you, a ghost in a jumpsuit. The prosecutor calls you a repeat offender, says you're part of a violent cartel, reads out a list of things you didn't do. You want to scream, want to say, I never pulled that trigger. I wasn't there that night. I was just watching. I was just trying to survive. But your mouth stays closed, because every time someone like you opens their mouth, they only dig the hole deeper. They show pictures, a body, a gun, a street corner stained with blood. They say your name like it's poison. They say ghost like it's a confession. You sit with your hands folded, trying not to disappear. Your lawyer calls one witness, a woman from the neighborhood. She says you used to help her son with homework, says you shoveled her driveway once. The jury doesn't care. They've already decided. Not based on facts, on your face. Brown, hard, silent. They don't need evidence. They need a headline. The verdict comes fast. Guilty on all counts. One of the jurors cries. You're not sure why. You think, maybe she had a son like me once. Then remember, sons like me don't grow up. The judge doesn't even clear his throat, just says, sentencing 43 years in federal custody. And just like that, your life is no longer yours. It belongs to the state, to paperwork, to chains. Your lawyer doesn't pat your back, doesn't say sorry. He just packs up his notes and walks away, like a man leaving a restaurant after a bland meal. They cuff you tighter this time. You ask, where am I going? A guard shrugs. Depends. On what? On how scared they are of you. You laugh. On what? On how scared they are of you. You don't sleep that night. Just lie on your cot, staring at the ceiling, counting. The cracks in the wall. The times you should have said no. The people you'll never see again. The years you'll serve. The versions of you that died along the way. In your mind, you see Manny. He's holding a candle, saying nothing, just standing in a hallway that never ends. Behind him, your mother, washing a plate that never gets clean. And behind her, a cell door, already open. You wake up sweating. A new guard stands by the door. Get up, you're transferring. To where? Supermax. That's the first time you hear it. ADX Florence, Colorado, where the worst go, where silence is thicker than cement, where mirrors don't exist. You nod, stand, let them bind your wrists again. And this time, you don't even feel the metal, because the trial's over, because the sentence was never about time. It was about silence, and you were guilty the moment you stopped speaking. Chapter 8. On the Road to Nowhere, Your Arrival at ADX Florence. They wake you up before the sun. No warning, no explanation, just a fist banging the bars and a voice that says, on your feet, transfer time. You don't ask where, you already know. They've been whispering it for weeks in the rec yard. ADX Florence. The Alcatraz of the Rockies, Supermax, where time slows down and men forget how to speak. You dress in silence, gray shirt, gray pants, chain around your waist, shackles on your ankles, cuffs on your wrists, a leash for each part of you. You try to stretch your arms. They click at the ends, like a puppet hitting its limits. They lead you out like cattle, you and 6 others. No one talks. The bus waits outside, big, white, no windows. You climb in backwards, feet dragging like dead weight. Sit against the cold steel wall, face to face with a man whose eyes won't blink. He looks like someone who forgot what clouds look like. The door slams shut, locks from the outside. The engine starts, and you begin the ride. At first, there's nothing to see, just your reflection in the scratched steel, a face that looks like it was drawn in ash. You close your eyes, try to remember music, any song, any rhythm, but all you hear is the hum of the tires and the rattle of your own breath in a metal cage. Time on the road moves like molasses. You count every bump, every turn, every time the bus slows, then speeds up again. Someone coughs. The guard bangs on the steel wall. No noise. So you cough into your shirt, swallow your own sound. They stop once, at a gas station in the middle of the desert. No one's allowed off. You watch through a tiny sliver in the door as free people buy soda, cigarettes, gas. A boy in a baseball cap laughs and throws chips at his sister. You forget what laughing sounds like when it's not trying to hide pain. The bus rolls on. Hours pass, or days, hard to tell. You piss yourself at some point. They don't stop. The smell sticks to you, like guilt, like regret. Then the landscape changes, from desert to stone to nothing. Just flat earth and mountains that look like broken teeth. The air gets thinner, colder, sharper, and finally, it appears. ADX Florence, a square of steel and silence. No towers, no flags, just walls. Tall, gray, expressionless. Like it doesn't care you're here, like it knew you were coming. They unload you through a tunnel. Your eyes adjust to fluorescent death light. They strip you naked, spray you down, make you squat, cough, lift your tongue, open your mouth, bend your toes. You're not a man, you're inventory. They log you like a broken item. Inmate 937-02, male, Hispanic, 5'9", 137 pounds, affiliation MS-13. That's your name now, 937-02. You whisper it to yourself. It sounds like a prison number, because it is a prison number. They dress you again. Gray, gray, always gray. They lead you through echoing corridors, each hallway more narrow, more quiet, more sterile. No voices, no yelling, just doors. Each door smaller than the last, each one opening like a mouth swallowing the man in front of you. Your cell is 7 by 12 feet, toilet, sink, concrete bed, metal shelf. No bars, just a solid door with a narrow slit, a coffin with a view of nothing. The guard looks at you one last time. You'll get 1 hour a day, alone, in a cage outside. Don't expect mail, don't expect visitors, don't expect noise. You nod. He doesn't wait for a response. Door slams, locks, silence. You sit on the bed, run your hand across the cement. It's cold. Even the air feels manufactured, as if reality doesn't quite live here. You whisper your name again, Rico. Nothing. It doesn't echo. Even your voice has no room here. You try to stretch your arms. Nothing. You try to sleep, but the silence is too loud. You press your hands over your ears. Still, silence. You bang on the wall. No reply. You scream. Still nothing. This place doesn't scream back. Eventually, you stop trying. You just lie there, eyes open, breathing shallow, mind spinning. And you think, this isn't prison. This is the waiting room for hell. And then, No, hell has fire. This place has nothing. You drift, not sleep, just drift. And somewhere in that gray soup of time, you hear your own voice say, I'm still here, but only inside. Out loud, there's nothing, just the buzz of the lights and the weight of walls that never blink. Chapter 9. 1 hour of sky, the cage within the cage. You don't know how long it's been. There are no clocks here, no windows, no change in light, just that same cold, humming glow above your head. You count meals to keep track of days, but even food feels imaginary now. Gray mush, lukewarm water, sometimes a piece of bread that tastes like a lie. You've decided it's Thursday. Could be Sunday. Could be last year. Then the slot on your door clanks. A voice, monotone, robotic. Yard time. You blink. Your throat cracks when you speak. Huh? The voice repeats. Yard time. You stand slowly, knees stiff, fingers trembling. You don't know what yard means anymore. You haven't seen the sky in what? Weeks? Months? You forgot the color of clouds. They come in 5 minutes later. 2 guards, visors down, gloves on, batons already in hand. One nods. You turn, hands behind your back, cuffs snap on, ankles chained. The leash returns, just to go outside. You shuffle through white corridors. Everything hums. Lights, doors, voices on radios, even the air. It's the hum of a system not built for thinking, only for containing. Finally, a door opens. You squint. Light. Not from above, not artificial. Sun. You forgot it could burn your eyes like that. You wince. You smile. Then you laugh, just a little. And the guard hits your shoulder with the baton. No noise. They guide you into what they call the yard. It's not a yard. It's a concrete box, 12 feet by 20. Walls 3 stories high. A ceiling of metal grating. No grass, no dirt, no tree. Just a slice of sky. A rectangle of blue, like God forgot to finish the prison roof. They uncuff you, step out, lock the steel door. You're alone. For 1 hour, every day. Alone in a bigger cell. You stretch your arms, feel muscles crack, bones shift. You breathe deeper than usual, and almost choke on it, because freedom tastes weird when it's measured. You look up. Clouds drift overhead, white, slow, unaware, and you realize the clouds are free. You, however, are not. You try to move, jog in a circle, touch the walls, do push-ups, 3, then collapse. Your body forgot what effort is. You sit down on the warm cement, stare through the grate, and for a second, just a second, you feel human again. You think, this is it. This is the highlight of my day, concrete and filtered sunlight. Then you think, no one outside this place knows I exist. And weirder still, I'm not sure I do either. You try to speak, say your name, say something, anything. Your voice cracks. Huh? The sky doesn't answer. You laugh again. Hey clouds, y'all hiring? Nothing. You lie back, arms spread, concrete beneath you, still above. You pretend you're on a beach. The sun above, sand below, music in your ears. You remember music, barely. Reggaeton from passing cars, your mother's humming, the hum of Jesse's stereo before a job. And you start to hum, very low, a tune with no lyrics, no title, no reason, just something that says, I'm still alive. 40 minutes in, your heart finally slows. You forget the sail, forget the silence, forget the taste of metal. Just you and the air, just you and that tiny piece of heaven. Then you hear the door. Clank, voices, time's up. They enter again, same gloves, same visors, same hands that never touch skin. The cuffs go back on, wrists, ankles, the leash around your waist. You shuffle back inside, eyes still adjusting to the lack of sky. You don't speak, neither do they. They don't see a man, they see a shift, a unit, an ID number that breathes. Back in your cell, same smell, same buzz, same 4 gray walls. You sit on the edge of your bed, look up. The ceiling's just a slab of concrete. No sky here, no clouds, only memory. And even that feels like contraband. You whisper, "See you tomorrow, sky," and hope you do. Chapter 10. The mirror is in your head. Conversations with no one. At first, it starts as thinking, just thoughts. You lie on your bunk, stare at the ceiling, and let your mind wander. Safe, normal. Thinking is what sane men do. But the thoughts start talking back. You ask, "How long has it been?" And the thought answers, "Too long to measure, not long enough to die." You laugh, then stop, because you realize that voice wasn't yours. Not really. It was deeper, calmer, older, like it lived here before you did. You sit up, stare at the door, still closed, always closed. You whisper, "Hey, you there?" And something inside you replies, "Always." That's when it begins, the dialogue. At first, it's harmless. You tell yourself jokes, answer them, talk about the food, complain about the air. Then it gets personal. You ask yourself questions you don't want to answer. Why didn't you run? Why did you join? Would you do it again? And your own voice becomes a jury. You knew, you always knew. You weren't saving your brother, you were saving your ego. You try to drown it out, bang your fists on the wall, do push-ups until your arms give out, scream into your pillow. But the voice is patient. It waits, and it whispers, "I'll be here when you're done." You name him, because why not? If you're going to talk to yourself, might as well give it structure. You call him Silvio, your father's name, a man you barely knew, a man who hit harder than he hugged, smoked more than he worked, left faster than he stayed. Now he's back, in your head, on your bunk, sitting cross-legged with a cigarette made of memory. He says, "You remember what I told you, mijo?" You reply, "You never told me anything." He smirks. Exactly. Sometimes he lectures, other times he mocks. But worst are the nights he goes silent, when he just stares, and you feel like your own mind is watching you rot. You talk back, more now, out loud, not whispers, full voice. You pace your cell and argue with nothing. Guards glance through the slot, then move on. They've seen worse. Silvio isn't the only one anymore. There's Jesse, dead 6 years, now alive every night at 2 a.m. There's Manny, his laugh echoing through your skull like wind in a tunnel. There's your mother, always disappointed, always wiping a dish that doesn't exist. And you, the version of you that never joined, never stabbed, never got caught. He's the worst, because he just sits and shakes his head. You had choices. You had time. You could have left. The mirror is in your head now, because there's no glass here, nothing reflective. Even the toilet doesn't shine. So when you want to see yourself, you close your eyes and pray he still looks human. You stop keeping time, not because you forget, because remembering hurts. You start to measure your days by when the voices come. Morning, Silvio lectures. Afternoon, Jesse jokes. Evening, Manny tells stories. Night, your mother cries. One day, you catch yourself smiling. To no one. Just standing in the middle of the cell, grinning like a lunatic. And you hear, "We're not so different, you and me." You pause. Who said that? Does it matter? You lie back on the bunk, eyes open, hands folded, breath slow. And you say, "Maybe this is hell." The voice replies, "No, hell has company. This is worse." You laugh again, because what else can you do? And for the first time you realize you're not alone, but you're not with anyone either. You're surrounded by memories in fleshless form, by your own guilt in different voices, by a choir of regrets that never learned how to shut up. And that, somehow, is worse than silence. But this just echoes forever. Chapter 11. Hunger Without Taste. The day you ate the paper. You wake up hungry, not just in your stomach, in your head, in your mouth, in your mind. You've been fed, technically. 3 times a day they slide in a tray with the same culinary masterpiece. Beige paste, room temperature water, one slice of bread with the density of drywall. It tastes like obligation. Like someone fed you just so you wouldn't die, yet. At first, you tried to be positive. Hey, at least I'm not starving. Then, okay, maybe I am starving. Then, screw it, I'd rather eat the damn tray. But they don't let you. You tried once. Bit into the edge of the plastic plate, thinking maybe, just maybe, there's more substance in it than in the food. A guard caught you, wrote it up. Self-harm, attempted ingestion of non-edible facility property. 3 days in a cooler cell, which is funny because it was actually warmer. Go figure. So now you lie on your bed, eyes open, tongue dry, stomach making whale noises. And you crave something. Not food exactly, just texture, flavor, purpose. Then you see it, tucked under your metal shelf, folded in half, stained yellow with age and indifference. A piece of paper. You stare. You crawl toward it like a pilgrim discovering scripture. You lift it carefully, as if it might scream. It reads, Inmate Orientation, Module 937B, Procedures, Restrictions, and Emergency Protocol. You whisper, "Oh my God." And then, without thinking, you lick it. Not the whole thing, just the corner. It tastes like dust and bureaucracy, like something that's existed longer than memory. It's awful. So naturally, you bite it. You chew slowly, papery, fibrous, dry as a court sentence. You think, this is the best thing I've tasted in months. You imagine a waiter in a tuxedo, a plate of shredded warden memos, a side of parole rejection letters. You laugh so hard you choke on pulp. By page 3, your mouth is bleeding slightly. By page 5, you're crying. By page 7, you've decided. This tastes like law, like rules, like control. You eat every word like it once mattered, like digesting it will make you understand this place. Silvio, the voice in your head, says, "You've officially lost it, mijo." You reply, "You're just jealous you didn't think of it first." After you finish the last corner, you sit back, full, ashamed, weirdly satisfied. The hunger's not gone, but it's quieter. Like it's thinking, okay, you win this round. Later that night, the guard does his round. He peers in, sees the crumbs of paper on your lips, the scratch marks on the floor. He sighs. Another one, and walks away. You expect punishment, a cell search, a lecture, maybe a psych evaluation. Instead, the next day, your tray arrives as usual. But this time, there's a post-it note on the side of your cup. In block letters, "Eat this instead." You stare at it, peel it off, sniff it, chew the edge. You smile. Nice touch. That night, you dream of menus. Filet of false hope, mashed regret, bureaucratic bisque, with a side of silent screams. You're in a restaurant. The waiter is your judge. The chef is your mother. Your seat, the electric chair. You wake up laughing and crying. You realize something terrifying. The paper had taste. Because it had purpose. Because it was once alive. In ink, in order, in structure. Your food never was. You whisper to yourself, "Maybe I'll eat the Bible next." Silvio grunts, "Nah, too chewy." You both laugh. And somewhere, inside your hollow chest, something that might have been joy once, flickers, then dies. But you're not hungry anymore. And for now, that's enough. Chapter 12. The day the lights flickered and the voices stopped. It starts with a flicker, a blink in the fluorescent tube above your head. Quick, sharp, barely there. You think, finally, that damn thing's gonna die. You smile. It's the most excitement you've had in weeks. A faulty bulb, big event. But then it happens again, and again, and then silence. Not quiet, silence. No hum, no buzz, no mechanical heartbeat of the place that hates you. The light goes out, the air stills, and for the first time in months, you hear nothing. At first, it's peaceful, like someone pressed pause on reality. You lie there, in total black, eyes open, mouth slightly ajar. You whisper, "Silvio?" Nothing. "Jesse?" Nothing. "Anyone?" Only your breath. You wait. 2 minutes. 5. You sit up. Your hand reaches for the wall, but misses. There's no sense of space. The cell feels gone. Like the darkness swallowed it, swallowed you. You whisper again, "Is this sleep?" No reply. You feel your heartbeat, slow, louder now, like it's echoing in a void. You tap the bed, metal, cold, but real. You slap your own face, pain. Okay, still here, still you. Maybe. You crawl toward the door, feel for the seam, knock once, twice. "Hey, yo, lights out, power's dead or something. Hello?" Nothing. No guards, no footsteps, no hallway hum, just air, stale, still. Time passes, or doesn't. You have no way to tell anymore. You hum a tune. Silence eats it before it leaves your lips. You try to scream. It comes out like a cough, like a baby bird choking on its own wings. And then the panic creeps in. Not like a wave, more like a drip. Drop, drop, into your chest, into your spine, until your breath shortens. Your vision, though useless, tightens. Your hands claw at the floor. You whisper, "Say something, damn it." To who? To anything. To God. To the rat you once saw in your dream chewing the Bible. You'd even settle for a mouse fart right now. You curl into the corner, hold your knees, rock, like a child, like a dying thing. You count. 1, 2, 3, You lose track by 14 or 400. Suddenly, you remember a story your mother told you once about men who went blind in mines and how their minds eventually made up a sky. They saw stars where there were none because the brain needs light, even fake light, even if it has to lie. You close your eyes pointlessly and try to see something, anything, a tree, a car, your brother's crooked smile, the tattoo you got at 15 that never healed right. Nothing. Just the inside of the inside. You begin to forget how long it's been. Did the guards leave? Did the prison fail? Is this a drill, a test, or punishment? Or is this the end? Silvio should say something, anything, even an insult, even a sigh. But he's gone, dead maybe, murdered by the silence. You think, if even the voices in my head abandon me, what the hell am I still doing here? Then you start laughing, not because it's funny, because you've run out of reactions. And the laugh sounds like someone else, someone far away, like you're watching yourself from another cell. You whisper, "If I die here, will anyone even know?" Silence answers, ... Of course it doesn't, because silence doesn't care. Then, just when you think you'll never hear sound again, a click, the faintest, a breath of electricity. The hum returns, lights flicker, buzz, then brightness, like someone turned the universe back on. You blink, squint, cough. The world returns in gray and concrete and familiar agony. You crawl to the corner, press your back against the wall, and cry. Not because you're sad, because you've realized something worse. You missed the madness. You whisper, "Silvio?" A pause. Then, "You rang?" You laugh. He laughs. The cell echoes with voices again. Yours, theirs, all of them. You breathe deeply, because you're not alone anymore, just insane. And somehow, that's better. Chapter 13. The letter you wrote in your blood. You didn't plan to write. Not really. You're not a poet. You're not even literate in the way people mean it. But the words had been clawing inside your chest for days, maybe years. You didn't plan to write, but you did. And you didn't use paper, because there isn't any. You didn't use ink, because color is a luxury here. You used blood, yours, and a chipped-off flake of metal from your bed frame. It started with a scratch, just to feel something. You'd been numb for a week. Even Silvio was quiet. Jesse just grunted sometimes. Your mother had gone to sleep in your head. And you thought, what if I don't wake up? Would that even matter? So you dug. Lightly, not deep, just a thin red line, a test. Blood rose up like a shy visitor. You watched it, felt nothing. Then something. Then everything. You dipped your finger in it, touched the wall, drew a single line, and then a letter. M. You stared at it, that stupid, jagged M. You didn't even know what it stood for. Maybe Maria, maybe muerte, maybe just me. But something broke open. You kept going. One finger became two. The line became a paragraph. You wrote in jerks, in smears, in crooked prison glyphs that only meant something to you. You weren't writing to anyone. You were writing out of yourself. The wall became your journal, your confession booth, your grave marker. You wrote things you hadn't said aloud since your trial, or ever. I'm sorry for what I did to the man in the alley. I didn't know his name, but I watched the life leave his eyes. I still dream of that twitch his fingers made. To my brother, I did it for you, but I also did it for the power, and I don't know which truth is heavier. To my mother, you deserved a better son, but I wasn't made for better things. Each letter carved from you, each word an ache. Your fingertip throbbed, your pulse slowed, your breathing got shallow. You almost passed out halfway through the word forgive. You never finished it. A smear replaced the last 3 letters. It looked like a bruise trying to spell. Maybe it was better that way. You collapsed on the floor, breathing like a dying animal. The wall looked like a murder scene. It was, of silence, of guilt, of the version of you that never got to speak. Later, the guards found it. Didn't even blink. They'd seen worse. One muttered, "Clean up in 9B," as if you'd spelled ketchup on aisle 3. They scrubbed the wall. Bleach, Brillo pads, water that smelled like pennies and chemicals. But the red stayed faintly. Not to them, to you. You still see every letter, every drop, every apology, every scream no one else could hear. You sit on your bed, bandaged now. The pain is warm, alive, like a friend who punches you just to remind you you're still breathing. Silvio whispers, "That was dramatic." You nod. "I needed it." He pauses. "What if no one ever reads it?" You smile. "I didn't write it to be read. I wrote it to not forget." You look at your finger, scarred, split, still red under the bandage, and you think, maybe that's all writing is, bleeding with direction. The wall's white again, but you remember, and that's enough. Because now when you sit in silence, there's one voice that whispers not in shame, but in relief. And it sounds like yours. Chapter 14. The Day They Called Your Name. You're not used to hearing your name. Not here. Not that name. Not the one your mother whispered when she kissed your forehead. Not the one your brother yelled when the cops came. No, here you're a number. You are Cell Block C, Tier 9, Inmate 345671. A barcode with bones. So when the voice calls out, "Santiago," you freeze. Not your number, your name. You haven't heard it spoken in a human voice in over a year. Not in your head, not in memory, not even from Silvio. Just Santiago. You sit up, slowly, heart ticking like a bomb on its last second. You whisper, "Me?" The slot in your door opens. A guard's eyes peek through. "Let's go. Now." You try to stand. Your knees betray you. Your hands shake. This isn't fear. This is shock. Real, naked shock. You shuffle toward the door. Your hand hovers in the air. You don't know why. You never touch them. But this time it just lifts. Like it wants to be held. Like it wants someone to say, "Yes, Santiago, that's you. That's still you." But the guard just says, "Turn around." You comply. Cuffs. Cold. Tight. Like old friends you didn't invite. The door opens. You feel air. Different air. Moving air. You haven't been outside this cell in months. The hallway is brighter than you remember. Your eyes sting. The floor shines with wax and spite. Other doors stare at you. Other inmates bang once, twice in rhythm. Not for you, not for solidarity, for the break in routine. You are today's entertainment. The guard doesn't explain, just marches. Left, right, left. Your feet remember the rhythm, like they were trained for this. Maybe they were. You pass rooms you haven't seen since intake. The psych ward, the med bay, the broom closet where a man tried to hang himself with a mop string. It all smells like disinfectant and despair. You whisper, "Where are we going?" No answer. Just that walk, that long, unholy walk. Your mind spins. Is it release? Transfer? Death? Are they going to let you see your mother's grave? You almost laugh. You wouldn't know where to put flowers anyway. Finally, the guard stops at a steel door. No window, no markings. He pulls out a key, turns it, a click like thunder. He opens the door. Inside, a single chair, metal, bolted to the floor, facing a camera. And beside it, a desk with a man in a suit, not a uniform, a suit. The kind with pressed cuffs and paperwork that ruins lives. He doesn't look up, just gestures. Sit. You sit. Your heart is trying to climb out your throat. Your hands are still cuffed. The room smells like ink and inevitability. The man finally looks at you. "Mr. Santiago, my name is Richard Holtz. I'm with the Department of Justice. This is a video deposition." You blank. Words. So many words. You haven't had a conversation in a year. You ask, "Am I in trouble?" He tilts his head. "You're an ADX Florence. That's assumed." You chuckle. He doesn't. He clicks his pen, taps a file. "We've received word that you may have knowledge relating to a string of MS-13 related executions between 2011 and 2014 in the Los Angeles area." Your face hardens. Memory like ash. Names, faces, knives, blood on a basketball court. He leans in. "If you can verify these events, if you cooperate, things might change." You ask, "You offering me a deal?" He shrugs. "No promises, but men have gotten less for more." You look down at your hands, still cuffed, still cracked, still yours. You think of the wall you wrote on, the blood still somewhere under the paint. The apology no one ever saw. You say, "What happens if I don't talk?" He pauses. "Then we close the door, and you never leave your cell again." You nod slowly. "So, the usual." He slides a paper across the table, a waiver, a signature line, a space for a voice to become evidence. You stare at it. You think, this could be freedom. Then, or just another box, bigger, louder, but still a box. You pick up the pen. Your hand trembles. You haven't written anything properly in years. You whisper, "Santiago." The word feels like swallowing glass and honey. Then you write it, one letter at a time. Santiago. Your real name, not your number, not your past, just you, in ink. The man nods. "We'll be in touch." He closes the folder, stands, leaves. The guards return. You stand, still dizzy, still unsure if what just happened happened. As they march you back, you whisper to yourself, "They called my name." And for once, you answer.
Chapter 15. You saw the sky again. They told you nothing. Just came for you one morning. No warning, no knock. The door clanked open. A voice said, "Inmate 345671, step forward." And that was it. No explanation, no time to process. You blinked at the guard. He didn't blink back. You stood. Cuffs, ankles, chain at your waist. The metal bit into you like a joke from God. They walked you. No words, no other prisoners in sight. Just silence. Hallways. Lights that buzzed louder than your thoughts. You tried to ask, "Where are we going?" But your throat didn't work. Maybe it forgot how to ask. You reached a service elevator. One of those small, ugly ones they use to move supplies. It stank of grease and disinfectant. The guard keyed it. The doors opened like metal jaws. You stepped in. The elevator rose, slowly, like it hated the idea of going up. Your ears popped. The light above flickered. And when the doors opened again, you smelled it. Before you saw it, air, real air, dry, cold, open. Your lungs jumped, sucked it in like a man drowning in cement. You stepped out, and there it was. Sky, blue, cloudless, indifferent. So wide it made your spine curve in fear. So light it hurt your eyes. So alive. You stood still, frozen, not from fear, from awe. You hadn't seen sky in... Wait, how long? You couldn't even remember. It was a rooftop, bare, flat, one vent, one satellite dish, a maintenance area, probably not meant for inmates, but you were here. They were letting you see it. No cameras, no words, just you and the sky. The guard stood nearby, silent, not cruel, not kind, just there, like a statue holding a taser. You looked up and up and up, and the longer you looked, the more it felt like falling upward, like your bones were drifting out of you, like your thoughts were being pulled into the clouds. Sylvia whispered, "We're not underground anymore, huh?" You smiled. "Guess not." Jesse muttered, "Still smells like bullshit." You laughed. It startled the guard, but you didn't care. You laughed until your ribs ached, until the sky blurred from your tears, until your breath fogged in the air and proved you were still real. Then it happened. A bird, a small black dot, moving across the sky, like freedom didn't even notice you were watching. You raised your cuffed hands, tried to wave, felt stupid, felt human. The guard cleared his throat. You turned. He nodded. Time to go. Of course. You took one last look, memorized the shade of blue, the shape of the bird, the weight of the moment, and whispered, "Thank you." You weren't sure who to. The bird, the sky, God, the man who opened the door. Didn't matter. Back in the elevator, the world shrank. The smell of rust returned. The light turned yellow. Your lungs remembered the walls. You closed your eyes, held the sky in your memory like a stolen photograph. When you returned to your cell, everything was the same. Bed, toilet, concrete. But you weren't. You sat, faced the blank wall, and smiled. Because now, when you closed your eyes, you had something they couldn't take. Not a possession, not a privilege, not a sentence. A memory of blue, of air, of space so wide it made the prison feel like a toy. Silvio said, "Damn, we made it, huh?" You replied, "Just far enough." Jesse added, "Next time, we bring wings." You all laughed, soft, tired, whole. You lay down, hands behind your head, breathing slow, eyes closed, sky alive in your mind. And for the first time in years, you slept. Not from exhaustion, not from drugs, not from boredom, but from peace.